Today I wanted to talk to you guys about some of the situations you get yourself in when you're dealing with girls and how you can prevent yourself from getting into ridiculous situations or wasting your time with certain women. And the main thing you need to do is when you're having a conversation with a girl, just let her tell on herself. So what do I mean by that? See, a lot of times when you guys approach girls and you talk to them, you're not really paying attention to what they're saying, or you're not asking certain questions to get certain responses out of them to see what they're about. Because this is the thing, people are going to tell you about themselves while they're talking to you, and if you keep asking questions, they'll reveal things about themselves or just their ideologies and what they believe and all these other things. So what happens is sometimes you guys get yourselves in situations where you're messing with a chick who is on some bullshit, or a chick who's going to bring drama to your life because you weren't paying attention to what she was saying when you first met her. You understand? So like if you're at a bar, you're at a club, or you're at some function or whatever, and you're talking to a girl, sometimes she's going to say things that are going to, like, you're going to be like, wait a second, like, did she just say that? It's interesting. So that means that she feels this way. And then if you're not into that, then don't mess with her. If you're into it, you mess with her. You understand what I'm saying? So for example, I remember one time I was on a date with this chick, and we're talking, and the subject of sex came up, and she basically said, if I have sex with a man, that means that he's my boyfriend. So basically she kept saying, she's just not going to have sex with a guy. Guy has to be her man. Or if they actually do have sex, she interprets that as that being her man. You feel what I'm saying? So that's where her mind frame is at. You understand? So I was like, yeah, I'm kind of not feeling that, because she's on that either we get together first and then we have sex, or she's going to look at it as if I have sex with her, she's going to think that it's more than just sex. So I can make a decision at that point to either keep going with it or to not go with it. And of course, there's going to be a lot of times with chicks, they just talk out their ass and, they'll just say stuff. But when the reality hits, it's not really that way. So for example, I could have sex with a girl, and then she could have been like, okay, whatever, we don't, it doesn't have to be that serious. If I said, hey, I'm not trying to be your man, and if she still liked me, we could have still been fucking around. You understand? But in most cases, a lot of times when you're just talking and having a conversation, and there's really nothing that the person's not trying to impress you, or the person's not trying to, say stuff just to get a reaction out of you, they're just having casual conversation, people are going to tell you things and reveal things about themselves that is going to give you a clue on where they're at in their mind, or where they're at in life, or what they're trying to get accomplished. So when you guys are out there talking to these women, you got to pay attention to what they say and ask them questions. So for example, I remember another time I was talking to this girl. She was like bad as hell, like looked real good, real cool and everything. Right. But then as I kept talking to her, I found out she had 3 kids. Now, for me, that was like, whoa, I don't really like dealing with chicks who have kids. That's just me personally. You understand? So that right there kind of made me say, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna really be trying to deal with this girl. You understand? So I'm talking to her, but I didn't even exchange numbers or anything. I was like, okay, nice talking to you. Peace out. You understand? And the thing is that if you ignore these things, or if you ignore what she's saying or what's going on, and you still go ahead with it, and then let's say something happens to where, like, for example, the other girl I was saying, where she said, hey, if I have sex with a guy, I'm going to consider him my man. Let's say you continue to fuck with a chick like that, and then you have sex with her, and next you get yourself in a situation where the chick is like stalking you, or become, acting all crazy like that. And then it's like, you have only yourself to blame, because you knew this is what she said, but you kind of just was like, fuck it anyway. You understand? So, you gotta listen to what these ladies are saying. Let them tell on themselves. They're going to tell you things. They're going to say things and you're going to be like, oh, okay, so she believes this. Okay, she's a Christian, so she's into this whole, I have to go to church and find a man before I can have sex. Or, she she's like, oh, I need a man to be making this much money or whatever it is. And again, a lot of it can still be them just talking shit. You understand? But there are some times where chicks will say shit, and then during the conversation, you can kind of tell just by the way she's acting or the vibe that what she's saying correlates with how she's kind of being. Do you understand? Like I remember I was with this one chick, and she basically was talking about, she was like, oh, I can't find a good man, and all these men out here are immature, and a lot of them aren't really doing that much, and blah blah blah. And I'm just like, and she just keeps like going on and on about a whole bunch of shit. And I was telling her like, what I do, you know what I'm saying? And she's like, oh, you work with all these like, losers and blah blah blah. So like she had this very condescending tone about everything she was saying. And then it was like, I kind of noticed that while I kept talking to her, I was like, yo, she's on some like straight bougie, I think I'm better than everybody shit. You understand? And at the same time, she was still feeling me because she was still flirting or whatever. But I was just like, I'm not really feeling her vibe right now. You know what I'm saying? Like her vibes kind of stink. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I feel like I'm going to be like annoying myself even dealing with her, or running into trouble later dealing with her or anybody like that, where I'm not feeling the vibe between me and this chick. So a lot of times when you're talking to women, you got to listen to what they're saying and really take heed to what it is, because they're a lot of times what they're doing is they're revealing their character. You understand? And I'm not saying that everything is bad, because a chick will reveal her character, and it could be some good shit that you're feeling. You understand? She could be like, yo, I like to, I like people that are go-getters, and I see you're a go-getter because I like to do this and I do that, and I make this happen, and you're kind of feeling her vibe on that stuff, and that comes from you actually listening to what she's saying she does, what she's about, her the energy she's bringing in the conversation. Like, let these chicks tell on themselves. Let them reveal who they are, a part of who they are, what they're about. You understand? Because you're never gonna know 100%, but there are certain things that people will say and do, and a lot of these things that ladies will say and do, even just their ideas on certain things. Like sometimes, like I used to just talk to girls, and I would just say something randomly just to see their reaction or how they would respond to what I'm saying. So, for example, I'll be at a spot and I'll be talking to some girls or whatever, and I'll just randomly say, I think women should just be in the kitchen cooking and cleaning. You know what I'm saying? And I I'm looking at her response to that idea. You know what I'm saying? And also like her tone and how and the energy she's bringing with whatever she's saying. So it's like, if she's like, oh, women are independent and we don't need no man and fuck all that, and if she's on that vibe, I'm like, whoa, relax. You know what I'm saying? But if she's like, if she asks me questions about what I mean by that, or she's like, she has a way of responding to that, which is a little bit more calm and not so defensive, then I'm like, okay, I'm feeling her because I like the way that she's responding to this. You understand? It shows her character a little bit. You know what I mean? It's something, it's a skill that you develop over time when you're talking to these girls, because you got to get to a point where you're not just so pussy hungry that you're just like ignoring, or you're not paying attention to all the details. You understand? Because the details is the thing that's going to give you a better chance of getting what you want from these chicks, dealing with chicks who are not going to be a headache and drama. You know what I'm saying? And for you to pick and choose the best options for you when you fucking with these girls. Because, it's not about just having sex or banging a whole bunch of chicks. It's about really, fucking with chicks who are going to be a benefit to you. You understand? Like, sexually, emotionally, like, whatever it is. You understand? Like, you don't want to have to deal with a whole bunch of nonsense, and that comes through with you actually communicating and peeping out the details of what she's saying, how she's acting, and how she's responding to what you're talking about. You feel me? So make sure that you let these ladies tell on themselves. And the easiest way to do that is ask them a lot of questions, and bring up topics that, you just want to see what their opinion is on these certain things. You understand? Because sometimes they'll feel very passionate about a certain thing, and it might be opposite to what you're about. You understand what I'm saying? Like, let's say, you're talking to a chick and you bring up something about like gay people or something, and she's like, oh, all gay people should die and fuck those faggots and whatever. You're just like, damn, like, what the hell? And your sister might be gay, you know what I mean? And you might be like, damn, like, why is she so, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, whoa, you know what I'm saying? So that shit is important. You feel me? So definitely, talk to these chicks, let them tell on themselves, and then you decide if this chick is worth you even fucking with. You feel me? All right, so that is about it. I'm going to holler at you guys later. It's your boy, Mr. Locario, the bad boy of the dating game. I'm out of here. Remember, the truth is inside you. Peace. All right, now before you click off this video, I need you to do 3 quick things. First, I need you to click the link below to send me your questions, because if you have any questions, I'll answer them in a video. 2, click the link under that to get my free ebook, The Magnificent 10 Crucial Dating Tips for Men. Gives you 10 tips on how to attract beautiful women. And number 3, I want you to click the link under that to go to badboymembership.com, where you get 45 to 90-minute audio and video tutorials every month. Hey, what's up? It's dating and life coach Mr. Locario. Go to badboymembership.com and master the dating game by joining my Bad Boy Membership program. In this program, you'll receive 45 to 90-minute, easy-to-follow, step-by-step dating advice tutorials that's guaranteed to help you attract, date, and have sex with beautiful women. Join the Bad Boy Membership today by going to badboymembership.com. That's badboymembership.com.